somehow turned this cube into an entire animation. Realizing I recorded the whole thing, it looks like we can go through and figure out how I did it. We'll start off with scene creation. I wanted a small room, so I started with a plane, extruded some walls, and cut out a door. There's this neat trick where you can use a solidify modifier to extrude and build up the walls. It'll make it easier for cutting through and making quicker details to the room. I then take a cut out of the back wall, the same way that the government takes a cut out of my income. With the base room done, I can start to move on to the details like the wall boards and the door frame. Now modeling is fun, but lighting is way more fun. So I jumped straight into the lighting, trying to get something that looked good, and I was not accomplishing that. I thought if I added some materials, maybe I could get it to feel a little bit closer to what I wanted. And it kinda worked, but ultimately I decided that the window needed to be changed up. I thought I could get some interesting lighting dynamics by adding some blinds and having the light shine through those blinds. This got me a lot closer to the 90s animation look that I didn't want. So I kept working the process, changing the shadows, seeing if I could get something that resembled a little bit of what I wanted. I added some environmental lighting and it helped soften those shadows and create a little bit more of an ambient look. By tweaking the blinds and the lighting, I was able to get that perfect cast right onto the wall. I then proceeded to add some furniture to make it look like the IKEA set that it is. I then went ahead and adjusted the color correction to help the scene really pop. This corner was almost as empty as my wallet, and to avoid spiraling, I filled the space with a shelf. Many props can help people to understand the setting of the scene, and I decided to confuse the viewer into thinking it's either a casual DMV or an overly cautious library. The color gray seems to be left out in most cases, and I decided to jump on the bandwagon. Instead of gray sky, I used a painted sky background to help marry the environment to the scene. And with that, we have our set completely finished. On to character creation. I normally like to make my characters based off of the voice and the way that they sound. A lot of people tend to look exactly how they sound and sound exactly how they look. For example, I don't sound like I'd look like this man would sound. Or maybe I'm just completely wrong. Either way, I gave him a mustache and made him have the classic dad bod. I feel like this fits his character and fits the position that he's in, which is a hiring manager. I realized though he looked too friendly to be a manager, so I made him bald. The next step was putting him into the scene. I need to figure out his posing and his demeanor before I start with the animation. Things were going smoothly until they weren't. Maybe I'm the estranged person in the room, but I prefer to not have my eyebrows and toe hairs merged together. With a bit of rigging rework, the pose is done and we're ready to head into animation. With this character sitting, I wanted to focus most of the animation on his hands. Alright, let's take a look at this. You've got Despite his lack of reading material, I move his hand as though he's holding a clipboard. This is very quick blocking to establish the base movement I plan on him having. With enough animation done towards the beginning, I start planning out the camera movement. I don't know who will be enjoying this animation, but I sure hope they love some feet. And with that camera angle set up, I can start to block out more of the animation. I decided the script was a bit too boring and mundane, so I record some new lines and add more energy.
Why did you put that on your resume?
And just like that, I have another character I have to make. I thought I'd reject nature and make this kid short and not old looking. I threw in some bright colored clothing to help distract from this unrealistic child. With some big eyes and curly hair and some sunshine, I think he's ready to go. Wait, he needs a sniffer. And with that, I think he's ready to apply for some jobs. Like the first character, I needed to pose him out and figure out his demeanor. I decided he'd be scared and nervous, so I kept his pose really tight and closed. But like an incompetent elephant, I forgot that by adding this new character, I have to add more work onto the set. I add a door, but the rest of the room is still empty. To fill the space, I create a lot of bookshelves. Either this hiring manager loves to read, or he's Ty Lopez.
More proud of these 7 new bookshelves that I had to get installed.
With that, I adjust the character's pose just a bit more, and then I'm ready to animate. I want this character to breathe in before he screams, so I use squash and stretch to help amplify his poses. Satisfied with the quick animation, I start to plan out the camera angle and the motion. Adding some shake to the camera will help add to the scream and make it feel louder. To achieve this, I add a noise curve on the up and down translations axis. I then blend it so it gets increasingly shakier.
Alright, let's take a look at this. You've got 6 days of schooling. Wait a minute, that's 6 days of schooling. You are not ready for this. Why did you put that on your resume?
Now the body animation is planned out, I can add in the props. I've avoided the hand animations and poses initially because I didn't want to do them. But push comes to shove, tax stays here, and I'll be penalized if I don't animate the hands. Now we move on to the lip sync. I've created some poses that help me quickly establish the correct shapes of the mouth. I actually quite enjoy lip syncing, but hearing this for hours gets tiring.
Alright, let's.
Now don't believe this or don't. This isn't sped up. This is actually my slowest workday to this date. After I get this lip sync done, I play blast the footage and move on to Foley.
Alright, let's take a look at this. Days of schooling. Wait a minute, that's 6 days of school. Wait a minute, that's 6 days of schooling. Wait a minute, that's 6 days of schooling.
You better. He also touches his glasses. Man, why did I add so much stuff?
Wait a minute, that's 6 days of schooling. You are not ready.
Why did you put that on your resume? Why did you put that on your...
Nope, I'm not doing that.
Rethinking this entire content creator thing, I decide I need to apply for some real jobs. Yep, nope, that should do it. I then apply my overly used painterly texture as a background, desaturate it, and it's good to go. I go back through the animation and give the paper some wobbly and flippity-doos, also known as physics. It would actually take me more time to figure out a simulation than to just hand animate it. Also, hand animating it gives it more of a claymation feel, so it's a win-win. During this time, I'd like to thank my patrons. Big thanks to Mom. If you'd like to help me out and support these videos, you can find my Patreon down in the description below. Thank you. I now add the texture to the resume, I do some final touches, and adjust the lighting to fit the animation a bit more. And with that, here's the final animation.
Alright, let's take a look at this. You've got 6 days of schooling. Wait a minute, that's 6 days of schooling. You are not ready for this.
Why did you put that on your resume?
If you like this video and want to see more like it, leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to help support me, consider my Patreon. Thanks for watching and have a day.